Oh my god, what is going on? How's your boy, Jay Hunter, joined as ever by my boy, V1zer.
What's the crack, Jay?
Oh man, can't wait to talk about it. It's gonna be awesome.
Gonna be emotional.
Yeah, it's fucking tons to talk about. Let's get to it. Oh yeah, The Last of Us 2. But you already clicked on the video, you fucking know what it is.
You know exactly what this is.
Yes.
See, there's a sequel. Wasn't as good.
Sequel to the critically and commercially acclaimed The Last of Us, a PlayStation exclusive, developed by Naughty Dog and directed by Neil Druckmann, and written by himself and Haley Gross. The Last of Us is a third-person action-adventure series set in post-apocalyptic America after an outbreak of horrific fungus turns people into zombie-style monsters. The first game you played as smuggler Joel, who travels with a young girl, Ellie, who is immune to the virus, from Boston to Salt Lake City in Utah, in hopes of creating an antidote. In this sequel, Ellie is on a revenge mission against new character Abby, and you play as them both leading up to their final showdown. After a 7-year wait, it was finally released June 19th, 2020, with a critical score of 93 and a user score of 5.6.
Which was up quite high from where it was on day one. Like, I think at some point it was down at like 2.7, and then they began to just like ban. Some reviews were put there before the game came out. You know what I mean? So, you know, fuck off, mate.
Yeah. So yes, before reviewing the actual game, I think we have to talk about the controversy surrounding it.
Absolutely. I think you'd be doing the game a disservice if you didn't talk about that and just get it out of the way.
Why is The Last of Us 2 plagued by controversy? So I think I'll say what it is and preface it, and then you give me your thoughts on it.
Sure.
Big one. Shoehorning LGBT or identity politics into the game. So in kind of 1A and 1B here, 1A, Ellie and Dina are lesbians.
Yes, and anyone who is pissed off at that, they clearly didn't play the first game or the DLC for the first game.
Yeah, Left Behind.
In which you see Ellie and Riley. They're clearly gay and they kiss. And for me, there was no big issue about it. I didn't think it was a big deal. I thought it was fine. I think it says more about the people who are angry about it than the actual politics of the game and the makers of said game.
Because you had an inkling she was gay during the main game, and then they just confirm it in Left Behind.
That's right, because in the first game, she's looking through Bill's gay porn mag, and she opens up the picture of the dude, isn't it? And she's like, ooh. So it's like, yeah, that's your first hint, which was then confirmed with a kiss, and yeah, she's with Dina now.
Okay.
You go. I go. End of story.
And the second one is there is a trans character in the game, Lev, an ex-Seraphite, which is this monk-like heel faction. He was born Lily, he wanted to be a warrior, shaved his head, transitioned to male, was ostracized by the Seraphites, and fled with his sister Yara, and they both befriend Abby during the game.
Yeah, like, I didn't have any issue with it. I thought it was done quite well. I didn't think that they forced it down your throat. Like, we were with Lev for hours in the game before they even brought it up. So it's not like, you know, Lev came up to Abby and was like, hi Abby, I'm trans. And that's literally the only thing that we have about her character. Like, we got to know, his character. We got to know Lev and to like him a long time before we even found out that he was trans male. I also think it's kind of nice that they went the trans male route, because it's not something that you see much. You know, you mostly hear from and see male to female trans characters, and people in general, they just seem to be more open. Once again, I think it says more about the people who were angry about this than the writers of the game.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there was much going on. He just said, oh yeah, this is my backstory, that's it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feature in, because like, I purposely stayed away from the internet when leaks happened and people were giving out about storyline. I don't know, I'll play it myself. I will definitely play it. I don't want to hear it. And I thought the trans character, I thought it was Abby, you know?
Well, I think everyone did. And that's when people got really, really angry, because they felt, Druckmann, fucking, Cookman is going to force me to play half a game as a fucking tranny. And I'm like, dude, she's just a well-built female. You know what I mean? Like, there's no issue there. And in fact, you can tell by reading through comments that a lot of the people who gave this game 0s out of 10 and who hate on this game haven't actually played it. Believe it or not, the review from IGN on The Last of Us 2 was only reposted on September 12th, 2020. I clicked on it and I was reading through comments, and literally the top comment with the most likes is, "Fuck this game, fuck Cookman, forcing me to play as that tranny Abby." And I'm like, you haven't played this game, you twat.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I don't think that's fair. People ran away with what ended up being a total lie, and it snowballed and it turned into hate for a lot of people who never even tried it.
Absolutely. I could swear I heard on the internet that there is an option to actually have a sex change in it. And it's like, that's absolutely not true.
No, of course not.
No, it's just an aside on a backstory. They must they have a few conversations about it and then it moves on to something else.
Yes.
It's literally just part of someone's backstory.
Yes.
So it's blown completely out of proportion. Like, you could say maybe they didn't do enough with the character, but it's not about Lev and his transition. That's not what The Last of Us 2 is about.
No.
So in that case, there wasn't enough representation, then nothing will be good enough.
Yeah.
Make your own art then, because
Yeah.
this is their story.
I totally
Should be grateful. Where's Ireland's representation?
We need more potatoes in The Last of Us, you know?
Instead of the nail bombs or something, you should have potatoes.
Oh.
Fucking wang 'em.
Fucking, yeah.
I wasn't allowed. It's a rule. I broke it.
I thought there's like 4 big different controversies. That's one of them. And the second one is crunch leaks. This is to do with Naughty Dog as a company. So it was like former employees speaking out of 12-hour workdays, working weekends, sacrificing their health, relationships, and personal lives for the game. Like, there's a ex-Naughty Dog animator, Jonathan Cooper, said their crunch was so bad it caused hospitalizations afterwards. And Naughty Dog had to hire out film animators because they couldn't contract enough game animators.
Yeah.
And people that came in would leave. Like, it's kind of shocking. There's a couple of big names that have been leaving over the years, so it's not just kind of the grunts that come in at the bottom. It's like 70% of lead designers from Uncharted 4 have left.
Wow.
And that just speaks to the terrible kind of working environment. Like, it's said to be incredibly creative, but you can't go home. You know, and they kind of stack it in that they only hire perfectionists, people that want to make the absolute best game that it could be, and who stay till 11 at night. Mm-hmm. And they wouldn't outright say it, but it's like, you can go home, but everyone else is going to stay late, so you feel pressured to stay late. And people might just look at you, you kind of screwed me because you weren't here at 11 p.m. waiting for me.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Like, yeah, well, like, they basically guilt you into feeling like you're not part of a team then, you know?
I have to say, just as my personal experience, I think it's impossible to avoid crunch, because when you're crunching, your productivity is through the roof and you're working towards, like, it's an unsustainable time frame. But like the last week of an OSW episode before it's released, I'll do 14-hour days. But that's me of my own volition working on it. But like, you get so much done and the product is so much better afterwards. But that can't be a way of life.
Or you can't do that for 4 months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which it sounds like this is what they did. Maybe longer. But it sounds like this is pretty much the same all across gaming. And maybe going into movies, animation, pretty much any creative work. It seems like this is the way it goes, heading to the final phases, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, nothing's ever really final because you can always make something better. Always. So we're constantly changing and constantly reiterating and trying to make it better and better and better pretty much until we ship.
In general, video games are very bad for it. Like Rockstar with Red Dead Redemption 2, that was a big thing about crunches. CD Projekt Red with Witcher 3.
Who seem to get off with it quite lightly because people love them, which makes me think that this was made to seem like a bigger deal because this game was getting so much hate, even though they should be, because it's a bad way of getting things done. But it definitely seems that other companies get away with it more because they're loved, you know?
Calm down, for fuck's sake!
just when a game is, they come out and say it's delayed. Like there was this weird thing where they said, no, we're on time. And then like 2 days later, they said, actually, we're delayed 4 months. You think that's great. Here's all this time to finish these bugs and to polish the game. No, it's 3 more months of crunch, you know, and you're already exhausted. And here's the light at the end of the tunnel. Oh, it's been snuffed out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it just seems like there's horrendous mismanagement and the scope of the game is too big for the time frame that they're doing. Like, I don't think whenever people give out about The Last of 2, like, that should be huge. Like, this is the people that are making the game that you love being worked to death.
Oh.
Or work until they quit and hate their job.
Fans don't
give
care.
a shit.
No, they absolutely don't care. Wrestling fans can be quite similar. You know, like a wrestler gets hurt because they're on the road 4 days a week and their body breaks down. And they're like, well, I don't fucking care as long as the Fed keeps turning. And it's like, Jesus, mate, you know? It's the people that make the content.
My real name is Joe, and I've been living with leukemia for 11 years.
Number 3, a really big thing is what most people give out about if they're not hating on trans people, is the storyline leaks / swerves. So the biggest of which, we'll go through these. 1, Joel dies.
Yes. I would say this, along with Abby, are the reasons that people hate this game. I kind of understand Joel. I never saw him as a hero. I always thought he was a bit of a dickhead. He spends like 95% of the first game being a cunt. And I thought that he was always going to get his. He was always going to die the way he lived, which is what he did. It did come a little bit early for me. I think it would have felt a bit more if it happened a bit, like maybe save it for 3 or 4 hours later, you know?
How do you mean he was cunt for most of the game?
Joel is a dickhead to Ellie. He just pushes her from him at every chance. Like, he doesn't want to let her in. He's a dickhead to Tess, who he's been going out with. He's a dickhead to Marlena. He's a dickhead to Bill, who is his old friend. Like, in general, he's just a pretty terrible person after the death of his daughter, which I understand why. But it seems like in the 7 years since that game came out, some of the crazy fans have put him up so high. I don't believe that the makers of the game ever meant for the players to put him there, because he's not, you know?
I think he needed to die in this, because...
So do I.
If he... Okay, Ellie's going to be the playable character in it. She needs the proper motivation to go out and murder hundreds of people. So what does she care about, really? Joel is probably the only thing that would get her to go out and go on a revenge mission and kill all these people. Like, I literally can't think of anything more important that would actually do this.
Like, even if they killed Dina, it might mean loads to Ellie, but to the players of the game, like, we had only known her for minutes at that point, so we wouldn't have cared as much as she did. So literally, Joel dying had to happen, you know?
The other part to that is that Joel dies via brutally being pummeled with a golf club. So it's like a disgusting, horrific death.
Did you play the first game in the scene where he's looking for Ellie and he has the lad tied up to the chair and one to the radiator in the basement, and he gives them both awful deaths? He tortures them and then kills them. I think he gave them worse death than they gave Joel. Like, it's a shitty world. It's the end of the world. People are desperate. People are terrible. People are mean. People are hardened. Like I said, don't want to say that Joel deserved it, but he earned it.
He did shoot a surgeon dead.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
Her dad, so, yeah.
Let me go.
You just come after her.
The other point of contention, is you spend half the game hunting Ellie, which is just not true. Abby hunts Joel, but not Ellie. Or so. Like, Ellie comes after Abby, you know, so anyway, that's just not true. The other one is, you play against Ellie, which is true for a short period, which is actually one of my favorite bits of the game.
It was really good.
That was very good.
It was fucking difficult. Oh my god, that Ellie boss battle. I was screaming at the TV. I was so angry. Like, I kept on dying.
The very idea of having to do it, I thought it was amazing, because you get to feel like how baddies in the game feel, because they're all terrified of Ellie. And it's like, oh yeah, this is what it's like to go up against Ellie.
Ellie is Batman, but who kills?
Yeah.
That's terrifying. Think about the Arkham games, when like you're taking out the baddies one by one and then their heartbeats going up and they're like, where is he? Where is he? And then they're randomly firing guns up into the roof. And Batman doesn't even kill people. So imagine how they feel.
And then the last thing is that a large part of The Last of Us 2 is Joel and Ellie's relationship, which is kind of technically true in that it's Ellie's motivation. But no, Joel dies early on.
Yeah.
So all of these put together can be kind of summed up like marketing for this game was a bait and switch. Like literally on the Sony website, they've removed them now, but I can actually have a look at it. The synopsis was, go on the road again with Ellie and Joel in an epic and emotional journey. It's like, that's a load of shit, mate.
Yeah.
And they do stuff like when the trailers came out, they swapped the face model for young Joel.
Jesse.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff that you're told Joel will do, and it's actually Jesse or young Joel and old Joel. But I'm like, if they put in parts in the trailer, parts of the game, and late parts in the game, you will put 2 and 2 together. Like if you see Danny, is it?
Who's Danny?
Who's Jesse? Jesse's the Asian bloke, is it?
Jesse.
Yeah. If you see if you see Jesse giving advice to Ellie in a late stage of the game, you're like, where's Joel? Joel isn't around. She's with Jesse. He's dead, isn't he?
Joel is dead.
So you've spoiled the game on yourself if they let it go. So the purpose of the trailer is just to get you hyped for the game.
Yes.
And they were trying to give you the emotion of the game and show you the quality of the game without giving away storyline spoilers, which would be way worse. Actually reminds me of Paranormal Activity 3. If you ever see the trailer for it, the jump scares are different in the movie than they are in the trailer.
Nice.
That's
actually clever.
Yeah. Of course, this happened because they filmed a load of it and they had to cut it down and it was a load of shit. But but the point remains.
Sorry. It's not funny.
Guess it's a one-time game. Okay, let's do it.
I'd liken it to, in the world of gaming, Metal Gear Solid 2. In the build-up to it, you're going to play a Snake and you're going to take down the terrorists in the Metal Gear and save the world. And then 40 minutes later into the game, Snake's gone and you're playing as fucking Raiden. And the fans hated that. Like, there was a backlash. Can you imagine if that game was brought out in 2020 with Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and podcasts, and people would go mental?
The last big thing, both review scores and / kind of abusing copyright. So there were storyline leaks, and there was a lot of misinformation and throwing out, false leaks of this is what happens in the game or this is how it happens, and you're not getting any kind of context, or even if it's real. But talking about the leaks, Naughty Dog copyright strikes. On YouTube.
That's wrong.
Absolutely.
I remember watching an Angry Joe video on it because he didn't show spoilers, he didn't show GIFs, he didn't show pictures. He literally just talked about what happened, and he got a strike from some third-party company who it turned out that Sony hire to do their social media stuff. So it was like a third-party company going bam, 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 bam. But I don't care. It was wrong.
Yeah, that's abusing your powers and abusing the DMCA, and you should have your rights revoked for that. You're just trying to quell news that has a right to be heard.
Yeah. I think there's a better way to handle it. I think if they just had to come out and said, guys, we've been making this game for 6 years. It's coming out in a few weeks. Please, just give us a few weeks. Let us bring it out, play it, and then talk about it. I think people may have been a bit fairer. But them going, you're just a bigot. It's just a bit of a dickhead move.
It wasn't limited to just the leaks. Like if you gave the game a bad review, copyright strike.
Bullshit.
It's equally worse. You're abusing copyright. That's not how it works. You don't get to choose what people can and can't talk about.
Yeah.
Having a review embargo as well is very suspect. Like making sure all of these news outlets and reviewers that can't actually talk about it until the game's out to try quell information about that. I think that's bullshit as well. But sure, that's your prerogative. What's very sneaky is having the NDAs, the non-disclosure agreements with employees, trying to force them to sign it so they can't talk about your terrible business practices or the crunch periods and stuff like that. Like, that's sneaky, shady shit. You know you're doing wrong.
Yes.
The answer is to stop doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Not that people are talking about it. Like, that's disgraceful.
Yeah. And like, even with the bigger companies who were talking about this game, they were only allowed to talk about Ellie's portion of this game in their final review. Like, your final review of an entire game, but can only talk about half of the game. That's bullshit, mate.
Yeah.
That's absolute horseshit, and that's not fair, and that's not right. You can't do that.
It's the first time I've ever been, like, really suspicious about, like, previously trusted sources. Like, because when this game came out, it was plagued by controversy, but, like, some reviewers we won't even acknowledge that there was controversy, and we won't acknowledge half of the game.
Yeah.
And here's our review, and by the way, it's 9.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
And here's only positive things we're saying about it, which is very suspicious. Like, cause, like, I love Easy Allies.
I was just about to bring up the same. Like, IGN, sure, whatever. They are who they are. I don't go to them for reviews ever. But Easy Allies would be my go-to. And
Yeah, they're
their
the beacon of-
review
yeah.
was a bit... it's a bit red fucking flaggy.
Like, I even had a look around at their other videos on The Last of Us, and they're like, oh yeah, there's some unsavory things about Naughty Dog, and that's about it. It's like, mate, this is far bigger than this, and you quelling that, or not mentioning it, or not giving it any kind of platform, it's very suspicious. So the kind of moral of the story is, play the game yourself, and form your opinion from it.
Yeah.
Why do people hate this game? Because I scoured the internet trying to find why besides you going, oh, I just hate it. I don't know. Because even when you were playing on Twitch, didn't, like, people say, oh, I hate this game?
There was one guy, I don't even want to mention names, because he's super nice, and he's very, very nice. But he waited until I got to the end of the game and said, I've been waiting to say this since you fired it up. This game is pathetic, and I hate it, and I hate what they've done, and it's sad, and it's a joke. And I was just like, you've literally just come on this 35-hour journey with me. What is sad about this game? Like, what makes this game pathetic? And he couldn't answer me. He was just like, it just is, you know?
That's someone who's had their mind made up by the internet,
Yeah,
the vitriol.
they killed Joel. They make you play as Abby. Like, spoiler alert for the rest of this review. Abby's bits are the best part of the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're fucking awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, I scoured around the internet. Why do people hate this game? I've come up with 8 reasons. Okay. 1, because the internet hates it.
Yeah, not fair.
Yeah. It's just other people, the hive mind of the internet has decided your opinion, and you won't be able to tell you why you don't like it because maybe you haven't played it. 2 is it deals with issues.
Good. Games are maturing.
Like you're saying, some people don't want to deal with any kind of issues with games. They just want to shoot baddies and that's it.
Yeah, well then go and play Call of Duty, you know? Don't hate on the game because it tries to be something different, you know?
Or tries to
Yeah.
deal with more
This game
issues.
is just a movie. It's like, there's 30 hours of solid gameplay in this fucking game.
Number 3 is Joel dies, or Joel dies with not how they agreed with.
That's it. Joel dying is fine. I thought that was earned. I thought it made sense. I thought it gave a kayfabe reason for the rest of the game to take place. If you don't like it, that doesn't mean it's not good.
That's a massive distinction there.
Yes. A lot of people can't separate I don't like from is not good. And they're two wildly different things, you know?
Number 4, you have to kill dogs. Druckmann said it's a choice, but generally, no, it isn't.
You can get by all of the dogs, except for Alice at the end of Ellie's day 3. So you do have to kill one dog. You don't have to kill the rest. Jay, you know me. I love dogs.
Me too.
Dogs are amazing. I have a dog. She's my favorite girl in the house.
And he's on the couch.
But I fucking loved killing the dogs in this game. There were 2 bits in my playthrough that are ingrained in my head. There was one where I set up a bomb at a door, and I knew that the dog was doing a circle, and I waited there until the dog walked through the door and it got misted, amazing. Pissed myself laughing. And the second one was, I think it's in like day one in Seattle, where you're in the housing area and there's like loads of baddies. And at the very end, you're in a shed and a guy and a dog slowly open the door. And I blasted the dog with the shotgun and had a good belly laugh. I fucking loved it. Killing dogs in a video game does not make you a bad person. If it makes you feel bad, sure, great. But I loved it. But in general, when I'm watching gory movies or if I'm watching horror, it does tend to make me laugh. That's just what it does to me.
I hated killing the dogs, but I was more annoyed that it felt like the game in general is made that you can't slip past them. So in general, you have to engage, because to get past the level, you have to open a door which takes 40 seconds right in front of where all these people are stationed. And that annoyed me, that you can't just slip past, so you end up having to put them down. And when I was playing through the game, I'm just shooting dogs in the face to get away from me. I was like, oh, that's terrible. I don't want to do that.
Did you ever shoot the dog's owner first?
Yes.
And then the dog begins to whimper, and it like nudges its owner with its nose, and it's sad. And then you shoot the dog.
Excellent. Okay, number 5 is character depth. Now, already in this review, I've confused Jesse and Danny and Manny.
I don't think there is a Danny.
Are you sure?
But there's definitely a Jesse and a Manny.
And a Manny. Okay. Jesse gets shot in the face. I don't care about you. Manny gets shot in the face. I don't care about you. I don't remember anything about you except one time you get to read some letter that he didn't want you to read, and that was it.
Yeah.
So yeah, fair enough. All of your characters I really don't care about.
I thought Jesse was okay. I thought they did a little bit of depth with him. I thought Manny was basically Manny became a absolute hated figure because people thought, he looks like Druckmann. And when they kill Joel, he spits on Joel. Druckmann hates Joel. Druckmann hates us. We hate Manny. And they just started grasping at straws. It's like, guys, in the kayfabe of this game, that group hates Joel because he killed their friend's dad and he caused her to have a terrible life.
And quelled their only chance at a vaccine that would have saved millions and millions of lives.
Yes, possibly.
Possibly.
You know?
Well,
possibly.
they quelled the chance of it.
Yeah. And look, if you want to talk about the end of the first game, when I played that first, I thought Joel was being a dickhead. I thought he ruined the world's chances of possibly finding a cure and fixing itself. Playing it 7 years later, before I jumped into The Last of Us 2, I absolutely side with Joel because I'm now a dad, I have a daughter, and I empathize with what he did, and I would have done the same. I would burn down the fucking world so that my girl wouldn't be hurt. So from that point of view, I absolutely get it, you know?
Obviously, Druckmann is in the game, but he's a baseball card.
Dr. Uckman, 100% brains. What a heel. I love this guy.
That's hilarious. The other, number 6, is characters die without impact or are forgotten. Now, most people give out about Manny, but you can say he's some kind of, is it tentpole character? People are getting around to give out about him. But like, Manny gets shot in the face, and then it's like, oh, you just forgot about him. Well, Abby is under fire and she has a fucking meltdown in that kitchen, but then it's like, actually, I'm going to die if I don't get my shit together.
Yeah.
So she gets her shit together.
Yes.
So
yes.
I don't think you can give out about that.
Guys, Ellie is a person who was thrown into this shitty world and she had to become hardened, right? Abby is a trained soldier, and soldiers may have little wobbles here and there, but they're literally trained to get up and go. Complete the fucking mission, you know? And that's what Abby did, because she's a soldier.
Yeah. Number 7 is simplistic storyline, i.e. revenge bad, and it's depressingly bleak. I think this touches on what you've said, is that people seem to equate I didn't like this with bad, or I didn't like this with poorly written, or that bleak equals bad. Which is just not true.
Okay, look, not liking it, of course, mate. People like different things. You are entitled to like whatever you like. You're entitled to dislike.
You don't like
what you like. But I can't fathom someone playing through this game and saying this writing was bad. You can't judge video games next to, 90-minute movies. You have to judge them next to other 30-hour games. And it's like, With the exception of The Last of Us 1, name a better written video game, you know?
Super Mario Advance 2. Yeah. Like, you can have a bleak script that's good, you can have a bleak script that's bad, but being one thing doesn't automatically mean the other. Like,
Of course.
like, bad is an opinion. I don't think you can objectively say this is a bad script. You could just say I don't like it, which is fair enough. But it's not. It's excellently written and excellently executed. Like the voice acting, the motion capture, the scripted dialogue, and the progression.
The actors knocked it out of the fucking park in this game. They really, truly did. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And it's well paced, if not a little bit long.
And the last thing here, number 8, the virus itself takes a back seat in that nobody important dies from the virus / Ellie's immunity isn't important.
That's probably the one thing out of all the negatives that you named that I'd be like, yeah. I did feel that the virus took a bit of a backseat.
But like, you spent the last game talking about the virus. What people remember are the stories and the characters and their arcs. So let's focus on that.
Yeah.
So I didn't care. Like, it never came up during my gameplay. It's actually the only game where I didn't tell anyone I was playing it, except for you, until I finished the game.
Nice.
Because I don't want to hear your opinion on it until I've had mine, you know?
Yeah. Like, you don't want to be coloured going in. I was really sad. I did have this game fucking absolutely spoiled to bits. I was on Twitter. I was going through just a completely random video game post. And about a dozen comments down, I came across the picture of Joel dead with just big, bold fucking text on it. Joel dies, Abby kills him, Abby's a tranny, and Abby kills Ellie. Obviously, 2 of those things are not true, but they're...
Joel is alive, motherfucker. Yeah.
But after I saw that, I was like, for fuck's sake. And then I just went in and I actually read things about it because I wanted to know what was true and what wasn't. And so then from that point on, yeah, I did have it all fucking spoiled.
How did that affect your enjoyment of the 30-hour game?
It's weird. I think it made me be harsher on it because I was waiting for certain things to happen. But at the same time, I was playing it, and when these things happened, I was going, wait a minute, this wasn't... that was actually really fucking good. But then I'd say maybe after 3 or 4 hours of the game just caught me, and then I didn't care, you know?
Okay. So I think the take-home message here is don't listen to the internet, play the game for yourself, and form your own opinions. Now listen to our opinions.
Yay!
We're going to deep dive into the game itself. Druckmann stated that the first game, The Last of Us 1, was about love, and that this is about hate. Let's see how it all panned out.
You're gonna fucking die!
I'm leaving tomorrow. You can't talk me out of this. She can't stop us.
We let you both live. And you wasted it!
The story, it's split into 11 sections, 3 of them are small, setting the scene with Ellie in Jackson, and then Seattle day 1, 2 and 3, leading to the aquarium, then playing as Abby, quickie flashback in the park with her, Seattle day 1, 2 and 3, a very different story by the way, leading to the aquarium, and then a big boss fight with Ellie. We get the aftermath of both, with Ellie on the farm and Abby in Santa Barbara, leading to a final fight with the 2, and then a quickie closing epilogue with Ellie. So before we get into the nitty gritty of it, what did you think of the story overall?
I thought it was really fucking excellently done. Last of Us 1 is one of my favourite games of all time. It's not my favourite game, but I think I might say it's the best game I've ever played. I love Ellie, and I just wanted to jump back into her shoes and play more as her. Joel dying and her wandering off into the world to kill everybody. I thought that was a fitting plot for a game set in this world where it's pretty grim, it's pretty terrible, there's not very many nice people. You know, like I don't want a game where, you know, she like plays house and, you know, pots her plants, you know what I mean?
Imagine if the whole game was that first section in the farm.
Oh my god. So yeah, I thought it was fucking excellently done. From a pacing issue, the biggest fuck up that they did was having us play as Abby within the first hour of the game. I thought it would have had more weight if we played as Joel during that section, because let's face it, people who played the first game, we wanted to play as Joel. And I think if the game baited you into playing the first hour as Joel, only to have him killed, and then have the Abby twist halfway through the game, I think it would have been just a little bit better. The Abby twist lost some weight because it's like, sure, I played as her in the opening of the game, you know, like I knew that she was part of it. Anyway, massive thumbs up. The plot of this game was fantastic. It sucked me in. I played it for like 35 hours and I loved most of it. I did think Ellie's part of the game got a little bit long. Maybe it would have been better to chop it like a few hours off of it, but massive thumbs up.
Okay. I thought the story is very well written, well acted, great voice actors, always interesting, but it's incredibly bleak and depressing. Compounding matters, as I thought it was far too long. It's unnecessarily emotionally battering. Being incredibly bleak and depressing and being emotionally battering, and then having the game be 30 plus hours, it's very tough mentally to go and play the game. So I went through it when I was like 10 hours in. It's like, man, I'm really enjoying this. Can't wait to play it again. And then, you know, 20 hours in, I was like, yeah, I'm doing pretty well. And then by the end of it, I'm like, let's get it over with. And that's not how
That's
you
not
want it
the
to
way
be.
you want. That's not how you should play a game, yeah.
That's literally the opposite of how it should be. Like, I thought it plumbs the depths of despair, and not the good kind that's kind of cathartic and you get a release of it. It just made me numb inside. Especially Ellie's story.
Do you think that that's what they were going for? Do you think that they
absolutely.
wanted you to feel, like, to at least feel a fraction of what she felt?
Oh, then they succeeded.
Yeah.
Like, I you know, lost joy in things for a few days. Like, fucking hell.
Because I have to say that I never felt that, because I loved playing it, lining up my shots, killing people, shivs, knifing, blowing up dogs. like that stuff gave me great joy. But the actual plot of it, like you said, it's very grim, and I can totally see why people would have a tough time playing it.
Joel still does feature in the game via flashbacks, and they're quite a nice reprieve. My favourite of them probably is Ellie's birthday present.
Oh, it's great. It's the one bit of the game that I'd say is lovely.
Yeah, so you're at the museum. This is playing a flashback of them during The Last of Us 1. And they go to a museum, and so they get to check out, here's a dinosaur, and it gives you flashbacks of the giraffe scene as well. And she gets to wear a hat, and it's nice to see innocent Ellie. You know, she's got a joke book out. It's like, oh yeah, I remember this used to be pretty happy. You know?
Yeah.
There used to be these nice moments here. Makes you feel kind of warm and nostalgic. And I thought that placing them after Joel's death gives them a lot more weight to them. Because it just, you get to spend more time with him. Because otherwise, if you put it at the start of the game, I thought it's a little boring.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. In The Last of Us 1, there are little chats between Joel and Ellie that are really nice and really sweet. And you see them both warming up. They begin to like each other. And they are my favourite bits of that game. I just thought that they were so sweet. And they're the one thing that I felt that was really missing in this game. Those moments. One, they gave you a break from this really dark, smothering game, but they were also nice, and that they made the nasty moments feel worse, you know? So it worked on both sides. I definitely feel that they were missed in this game. Like, Dina and Ellie have one or two moments like it, but even that falls apart because Ellie is so fucking stubborn that she can't see what she has, and she's willing to throw it all away for this empty vessel of a fucking mission that won't fix her at all.
The thrust of Ellie's story is her repeatedly refusing to sort through her PTSD, and it's like, I will just go on these revenge missions and that will sort out my brain. And of course there's nothing to be gained there. There's only loss.
Yeah.
And she repeatedly doesn't learn the lesson over and over.
Over and over again. And Abby's plot is kind of the opposite of it, because Abby kicks off this game as a mindless, angry soldier who's on a mission. But she gets her mission done and it doesn't fix her, because she wakes up and she has her nightmare that her dad is killed over and over again. And it's not until that she meets Yara and Lev and lets them into her life that she begins to actually heal. Ellie already has that and she can't see it. And so she can't heal herself. And so they're opposite sides of a coin, you know? I think...
There's no way you can say that this is a badly written game.
I was going to say, how can you have this and say this is a badly written game unless you're not smart? Unless you
haven't
need
played
your
the game.
fruit to be so low-hanging that you can't see it, you know?
I want to stop at his house before we leave. I just have to pick something up. Okay.
I did love that you go to his gaff afterwards and you pick up some objects. The whole avenue is covered in snow, but the sun is out shining. And when Ellie goes to his gaff, she can't even open the door because her hands are shaking. And she's skulking around his gaff, like he's eyeing his mug because he loves his coffee. She's smelling his jacket.
Yeah.
That was really beautiful moment in a game.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have got that if he was alive, you know?
Yeah. Do you know the way at the beginning of the game, Ellie is living in like a shed or a shack? There's a bit in the game where Ellie goes up to the window in Joel's house and you see that she's actually living out in Joel's back garden, which is such a nice little touch, because how many teenagers or older kids do get the shed in the back of their parents' garden, you know?
Just about Ellie's birthday present, so they go to a museum and you can actually climb the dinosaur bones outside, and that's a really cool bit, and she dives in.
I jumped off 3 times.
And you get to spend time with Joel, and you get to go around the kind of astronaut section of it as well, and she actually gets into the lunar model. And he says, okay, here's your birthday present. And it's a cassette. And he's like, you don't know what I had to do to get this. Like, how would you get it? It's hard enough to get it during the normal time.
Yeah.
But she gets like the 30-second countdown to that the astronauts would hear. And she gets to pretend like she is actually an astronaut, because she mentions it a few times during the first game that she would love to be an astronaut. And she's interested in astrophysics.
And there's a really, really nice little extra thing when you go into Joel's house. You see that there's a book on the table and he's reading about space because he loves Ellie and he wants to learn more about things that she loves so that they can chat.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's so sweet.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Hey. Welcome to Earth.
Like,
it's a beautiful little touch, yeah.
Joel in The Last of Us 1 wouldn't have done that. It is only because he had 5 years to let himself soften that he would have done those things. But those 5 years of becoming soft is what led him to be off guard, to kill him. Like, it's a double-edged sword, you know? How can you think this is bad writing? I have a feeling that we're going to keep coming back to this point.
Sorry, I just went bang on about it because it's really beautiful. This Ellie's birthday present is a small note. When Ellie gets into the shuttle, you've been enjoying this world for the last 10 minutes. You can see her gun peeking out from her belt line. And that's like, even though we're in this serene, like heartwarming scene, it's a reminder it's a danger into this world. You are still in the Last of Us world, you know. When you go into a hole and you hear something, you suddenly have the ability to holster your gun.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck! Like, using game controls as a storytelling device? Like, that's fucking genius.
It's something that you don't ever see done, and it's something that I don't think in any video I've ever seen no one has brought that up, but it's really clever game making. It's really fucking subtle, and it's awesome.
So I was thinking, okay, we'll talk about the final 2 chapters separately. That's like the farm in Santa Barbara. Ellie's story is Joel gets killed. She sets off tracking down Abby and the wolves to get revenge.
So, where are we?
Pretty sure we're here.
Ah, nice. I'll mark it up as we go.
This is the same problem I have with Tomb Raider or Uncharted. Most of these games is that Ellie, she's a wrecking machine. Like, imagine how many hundreds or perhaps thousands of people would still be alive if she wasn't around.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
She wasn't terminating them. Like, now she is hardened and bitter because there's a load of subtle nuances in it, but this is great for character building, is that she swears after she shoots people. Like, she goes, dick, asshole, you know?
Yeah.
This is her trying to convince herself that she's the good guy and that these people deserve death. They're the bad guy. She's trying to convince herself. I was like, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Also, when you stealth kill someone and, you know, you shiv them, she gets the taker eyes as well. She just, you know, it's like,
fucking hell.
Oh my God. Don't fuck with this one.
It's fucking grim, isn't it?
I thought there's two moments of like unnecessary the bit that lost me on Ellie here is unnecessarily harshness, is that she murders a pregnant lady. You know, because she doesn't know.
She doesn't know that she's pregnant until afterwards, though.
And you get to see her belly. It's like, that's it. Wow, if you wanted to turn me against you, well done.
But that moment does have a bit later on in Abby's version where it flips the coin and Dina is pregnant and Abby is going to kill Dina. Ellie says, please don't, she's pregnant. And then Abby's like, oh, you killed my friend who was fucking pregnant. And you see Ellie, her face drops because at that moment she's like, fuck, the one thing that I have in this world I'm gonna lose, you know?
She's pregnant. Good. Abby.
Well, that lost me for Abby. Is she just goes, good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, he's gonna slit her throat. I was like, well, okay, now I don't like you either. I don't like anyone now. I get that it's smart, it's clever. I think it's too dark, and it just turned me off the game completely. Like, Ellie's terrifying in this game. Like, 4 words that she said when she returns is like, I made her talk. When she's being patched up by Dina, and it was like, because the bit before that is that she tortured one of Abby's mates to find out where she was.
Yeah.
And you have to, you're in this kind of end of a hallway and it's all drenched in red. And you...
The hospital segment.
Yeah.
That was one of the first times that this game ventured into not action, but horror. I loved that bit. Oh my God. I thought that bit was terrifying.
How come?
That's the bit where you like drop into the hole and there's clickers and there's stalkers, guys with guns that are hunting you, and so you're just outnumbered. Anywhere you turn, people turn on you. I just thought that bit was terrifying, and the lighting and everything, it was fucking awesome.
Is that the train segment? Like there's kind of a...
No, sorry, the train segment came beforehand.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that was cool with the red lighting, and there's like the SWAT team is there, and then there's clickers there, and then you have to kind of guide the clickers towards the SWAT team, and they take each other out, which is
and then you sit
great.
back and watch and you pick up the pieces.
So actually, they force you via gameplay mechanics you have to beat this woman to death with a pipe until you get the information. It's like, when did you press X to beat? It's like, because you smack her and then she goes, ah. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a horrific situation. Like, it's unnecessarily bleak.
I did like that the background lighting was like red, because Ellie was totally lost to the red mist of like anger. And I just thought, I was like, oh, okay, so they're literally like hammering it home that she's furious and she's not even really like a person at this point, you know? Terminator.
Like, it goes so dark that I don't believe her when she kind of acts normal around Dina afterwards. Like, I think that's the facade. You know, when she's bopping with the baby, it's like, no, that's not you. You're this mindless psychopath killer that tortures people for information.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get to leave that at the battlefield.
Well, she doesn't really, though, because then she goes out to the barn and she breaks down again, you know what I mean? So, like, they don't just have her fixed, you know? Like, Ellie's broken. And
yeah, that's a huge bit. She's not damaged, she's outright broken.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So long, everybody.
Yeah, like, overall, Ellie's bit, it's a joy to play, but I thought it was too long. this bit for me was the bulk of the game. It took me like 20 hours or so. I think it would have been better if they cut 5 to 8 hours off of it. Thought it would have made for just a tighter game, you know?
Alright.
If it was me, I'd want you to do the surgery.
So Abby, she's the daughter of the Firefly surgeon that Joel killed at the end of The Last of Us 1. So she's out seeking revenge and to kill him. And she spends the game tracking him and then befriends ex-Seraphites Yara and Lev. And that's where she gets her kind of reason for being, is to care for Lev.
Yeah. So I thought they did a really, really good job. I thought for the most part she was more likable than Ellie. At the start, I think we were all meant to be kind of, fuck off, like you're going to make me play as the person who killed Joel. But I think that they do a decent job of, like, they never made me go, yeah, you're right, you should have killed him. But they made me see her point and understand why.
Yeah, it was cool to see the flip side of the coin for the most important moment of The Last of Us 1.
Yeah.
You know, they do a good job of not making her a 2D villain. You know?
Yeah, and that was just one thing of dozens that Joel did. But for her, it's literally the most important moment of her entire life. And it's the moment that changed her life and turned her into a soldier with one goal. So yeah, thumbs up there.
Yeah. I thought, like, she endures a lot of physical and emotional pain. It did a great job making her sympathetic and likable. Like, when confronting Ellie, she says, "You killed my friends," rather than "you killed my team," or, you know, my squad, or something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She tries her best to do what's right as well, like saving Lev and Yara despite them being from the enemy camp. But going up against Ellie is like, I'll never root for you. You're fucked, you know?
Yeah.
There's a bit where she looks at a dog. It's just after you meet Lev or you're hanging around him, and she looks at a dog picture and it's like, do other people think you're funny? It's like, no. Bit of a muscly elephant in the room. So, like, as soon as you see her, it's very noticeable. She has a very different body type, one that you don't see in TV or games in general. I was like, I don't mind. Like, it makes sense in this world. And there's a WLF fitness camp. It's the first thing you see when you're at the stadium at her gaff. So it was grand. I don't mind. It makes sense.
They make it make sense. And look, if there's going to be any place in that country that has fucking riots, it's going to be in the lockers of football players. Yeah?
Yeah. Her mates call her Abs, and it's like, yes, she does.
Yeah.
Storyline wise, I am sad that she willingly accepts her role as the other woman. Like, she's continually hoping that Luke leaves his pregnant wife for her, and it's like, man, you deserve better. You know, you're trying your best, you're a good person, you do these good things, you try to do what's right, and it's like, this is terrible. I felt very sad for her.
Have a bit of Manny. Oh no, Manny was gay, right? Because he was writing letters to some guy, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know anything about Manny. It was weird that Luke, like, for the longest while, I thought they were brother and sister, because they're very jokey and very comfortable with each other, and they have the same complexion and hair color. So I thought it was weird.
You know that you have the thing where people say that it's not possible for a man to be friends with a girl and not want her. But in this case, she's friends with Luke and he doesn't want her, but she wants him. And he is oblivious to it. I just thought that was a nice little twist.
I think he's very much, I want this on the side. Like, he's very happy to have her be the other woman.
Okay, let's just talk about it now. There's the sex scene between the two of them.
I was going to shoehorn that in later. It's something I didn't want to see. Like, she's John Cena in a wig, you know? I don't want to. I don't think it was unnecessary. I don't want to see her get cry-banged. Like,
I thought that bit was hilarious. I was watching it and I was like, okay, look, people do have, like, angry sex, you know? It happens. He fucking raw dogged it.
Yeah, it was very sad. It was very unnecessary. No one wanted to see it, but here it is. So.
I wonder how they managed to get by Sony, because they're quite when it comes to boobs and stuff.
I can help.
Yeah, by staying here and fixing the fucking sailboat. Get your priorities straight. Yara, let's go.
Okay, we'll get on to it. This is the big one. The ending, the last 2 chapters of the game.
Hold on. I just want to talk about just a few bits in Abby's.
Yes.
Okay. Ellie's part of the game. It kind of runs into the other, you have a little bit of plot. You'll do like a little small puzzle and then a big open area, fight loads of people, do it again and again and again. It kind of gets a bit long in the tooth. I thought Abby's section was significantly better. I think nearly every chapter feels fresh. So you have the chapter where you're on the top of the buildings and you're going across the bridges, and Abby is petrified, but she's doing it because she wants to help her brand new friend. I thought that felt cool. It was a nice break from just, combat.
Clear out this
combat.
dilapidated building.
Yeah. And then the very next section is when you go into the bowels of the hospital and have the coolest section of the entire game, which was the boss battle with the Rat King. Holy fucking shit. That was awesome. That was absolutely... I loved it. I didn't know it was coming. Absolutely petrifying. I somehow managed to beat it in my first go. Totally fluked it. Absolutely loved it.
Hang on. So if you haven't played this, the Rat King, what happens is Abby's looking for supplies, and the only place, so she goes to a WLF camp, the only place that hasn't been cleared out and packed away is the bowels of the hospital, which is also ground zero for the initial outbreak for the Cordyceps virus.
Yes, at which this point it's been 25 years.
Yes. So as she goes in there, it starts off all right, then people are dead. It's like, yeah, okay, there's been lots of struggles here, and they had quarantined and sealed off this zone, but they haven't blown it up. And as you go in through these medical tents, the walls are full of mutated, disgusting, fleshy, fungusy stuff, and you get a new body that actually comes out of the walls. It's like half-fused human mutant trying to get you, and it's like, shit, okay. Then you find out that all of the people that were the first infected of different stages of infection, they were all sealed away, and they've somehow fused together to form this one horrific
monstrosity.
Yeah, giant ball of writhing different fungus people. That's the Rat
was very
King.
Resident Evil.
Big Bang. Of it's like something Birkin when growing up.
It was so fucking great. It was so different. Like, I didn't think we would ever get something like this in a game that has been, up to this point, quite grounded. Like, obviously you can't say it's grounded in the real world because nothing like this has ever happened, but it's like, if something like this was to happen, I would imagine it would go something like this. But I would never imagine the fucking Rat King, and it caught me off guard. Thought it was fucking phenomenal section.
So you basically shotgun it and you just hightail it and try to run away, and eventually with enough firepower you're able to slow it down and kill it. Actually, one of the parts of the Rat King kind of pulls itself away from the rest of the writhing mass, and that becomes a separate boss battle after, which was fucking genius to do it as a gimmick, and it gives you the idea of the kind of running stalker as well. So that was the whole thing was brilliant.
Great stuff.
I do think they intentionally made Abby's section better than Ellie to get Abby over.
So do I.
And it's like, Abby has a shitty bow and she's got a crossbow. It works like a gun. I was like, way better.
She has shotgun with flame rounds. Yeah. Anyway, so there was that section. I really enjoyed the section when you're working your way down through the basement in the hotel when the floors have all fallen away. And there's I
actually liked that, but I thought if you cut it out of the game, you wouldn't have missed it. Because I'd agree with that. Just get to the Rat King, mate.
Yeah. And then, of course, you have the end of the game when you go into the homeland of the Seraphites. And it's this like wooden farmland commune kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely a bit of cult action there. Bit of Dead Space.
Yeah. And then the whole place sets on fire and you're on fucking horseback and you're like shooting lads and oh my god, it's so stunningly beautiful looking. Absolutely incredible.
Oh god!
But my favorite part of the entire game, it was also my favorite part of the original game, the sniper section.
Oh, is that when you're as Abby and that there's a kind of an unseen sniper?
There is an unseen sniper who has the best shot I think I've...
He's such a bollocks.
Oh my...
Crazy good shot.
Fucking God. He can hit you from anywhere, and then...
So you're trying to traverse upwards through like a car parking lot.
Park, and then he's shooting cars, setting off alarms, which will then cause like loads of the bloaters and clickers to like chase you and come after you. And then when you finally get up to him, who is it? It's fucking Tommy. So it makes complete kayfabe sense as to why he's the best shot and the best sniper. And you don't actually get to fucking kill him either. He gets away after killing your mate, Manny. So that to me was the best part of the entire game. I thought the section was fucking brilliant.
And they do set it up in this one, in The Last of Us 2 as well, because there's a flashback with Tommy showing Ellie, here's a rifle, here's some shots, like,
yeah.
So, like you're learning from the best. So
makes kayfabe sense.
Massive thumbs up there. Damn, that's some positive stuff. I was hoping to leave that after we get to, because we have to go through this really shit depressing section. So I was hoping to do it later. But anyway,
Abby tried to escape. She's down in the pillars.
The pillars?
Head down to the beach. You won't miss it.
because at a big kahuna here, the ending of the game. At the big climax, it's Abby versus Ellie at the end of day 3 for both of them. Abby wins the fight and spares Ellie, and then they go their separate ways. The game goes beyond this to give you more story, but it's even darker and even sadder. With Ellie, she's at the farm. She has an idyllic farm life with her wife and son, a little potato. Joel's brother, Tommy, goes in there, gives them grief, gives her a lead of where she thinks Abby will be, and is like, nah, you gotta care. I can't do it. I'm kind of hobbled.
I hated Tommy for this. There was no need for it.
And Ellie sleeps on it, or she can't sleep on it, and she ends up saying, yes, I will leave my idyllic farm life with my wife and child for round 2 with Abby.
Yeah. Look, Ellie was damaged and she was broken, but at least she was out of all this madness and danger, and she was trying to get her life back on track, and she was trying to be happy. Even though she broke down, you have to kick off somewhere, you know? Tommy is bitter because Joel is dead, he's lost his eye and he's hobbled, and he's where Ellie was back in day 1. And he's angry and he wants Abby, and he wants to kill her because he thinks that that's going to make him feel better. And he dragged her back into it all, and that made me hate Tommy. And it's weird because I always liked Tommy. I thought he was the better brother out of him and Joel, but I don't think Joel would have ever done this to,
like, as a person?
Ellie. Yeah.
How come?
Yeah. I just think he left that life, moved out into nowhere, and he settled, and he was helping people, and Joel was just a killer, basically, you know? I just thought that Tommy was the better person.
Okay. Okay, so Ellie chooses vengeance and hate over love. It's like she has to leave and finish this fight. She won't stay with her wife and child, even though Dina actually says this to her straight up, and that she won't be back if you leave, you know?
Yeah.
The driving point is Ellie repeatedly refuses to learn that her PTSD will not be solved by revenge. By the way, mate, you lost that fight. Ellie had her life spared twice.
Yeah.
Abby, when she killed Joel, she let Ellie live.
And because she didn't have any beef with Ellie.
Yeah, which is quite fair. And once you already fight and you lost the confrontation, and she let you live again. Like, you living is the prize.
That's your mercy.
You've won, you know?
She gave you the chance to go back to your wife and to your home and to live a life.
To heal and try to be happy, yeah.
Basically, Abby gave her the chance to have what Joel took from Abby.
Yeah.
Because Joel took her family.
I'm not gonna do this again.
It's up to you.
The final two scenes are horrific.
Oh my goodness. Abby lands in California, yeah?
Yeah, Santa Barbara.
Because she's looking for possible lost members of the Fireflies.
Yeah. She wants to get the Fireflies back up and running.
Who are the group that Joel killed in the end of the first game. But it turns out it's absolute bullshit and they are slavers.
Yeah, the Disciples of Apocalypse here. The Rattlers.
Holy fucking shit, man. I felt really bad for Abby by the time Ellie actually found her. Like, she looks like a different human.
Because you go to the beaches and you see these people. It's not quite crosses, but that's the kind of implication that they're strung up on these large wooden pillars. And you're going, okay, there's Abby is here. So I actually went around looking for, and I couldn't find Abby. And it's only dawned on me, oh my God. It's just this emaciated, weather-beaten, emotionally and physically beaten woman. She's thin and wiry. Because in the rest of the game, she's very healthy and beefy.
Yeah, she's fit.
Yeah, and here's her, I don't know, starving for 2 weeks or something. It's so depressing.
It kind of made me think of the scene, in Seven, when Brad Pitt goes into the room and he finds the corpse that's like tied to the bed and it's been left there for like a year. And he thinks it's dead, and then it turns out that it's actually not dead. It just looks like a corpse. That was Abby. She just looks like a corpse.
Oh, or it's like that bit in South Park where they string up Cartman for a week and they come back to him. It's like, oh my God, he's dead. And they find him, no, he lived on his fat for the last week. Yeah, this is something horrific. I never wanted to see it. Like, I was fine with leave it at the confrontation. And seeing this made me so sad. And then Ellie's like, yeah, let's have a fist fight. If you don't, I'm gonna slit the throat of Lev. And it's like, I don't want to fight emaciated, near-death woman who was strung up for the last week. And by the way, it's not a fair fist fight. You've got a knife, mate. And so what happened in the game? It was like, I'll let Abby win. No, kill me. No, I'll let it go a few times to hopefully let Abby win. That's how, like, you've lost me. You've managed to turn me against Ellie.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah, I got turned on her as well at this point. There was no need for this. Surely, seeing the person that you had in your mind's eye that you wanted to end, and then when you see this, you say, like, okay, like, the battle's over. That's not her. She has already clearly lost.
It's horrific. Like, Ellie, she does win that fight and then she lets Abby go, and that's supposed to be her catharsis, that she's actually finally let go of it. So her epilogue is with Ellie. She goes back to her farm immediately. Yeah, everything is packed up and gone. Her wife and her child are now gone. So she's like, oh yeah, I see a guitar, go out to play. Oh right, I've lost 2 fingers. I can't play the guitar anymore. I've lost my link with Joel as well. So she's lost her wife, lost her kid, lost Joel. She has lost everything.
Yeah.
The end. Fucking.
I didn't quite see it as that dark of an ending. I kind of saw that as her moving on from Joel's death. Almost hopeful that she's done with Joel's death. She has come to terms. She's moving on. And if you notice, she was wearing the bracelet that she got off of Dina. And so I just kind of took it that maybe she's going to go back to Jackson and look for her wife. Maybe that's me being too hopeful. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I didn't. I just you've lost everything. The end. I didn't get that. Hopefully that's it. But like you already turned me against you. I don't care about you now. It was like, if you wanted me to not want The Last of Us 3, you've done it. I don't know. I'm even weary of you doing 2 completely different characters because of how dark going from 1 to 2, because 1 was dark enough, but there's a lot of moments of like positivity and levity in that with the relationship. Anyway, and then 2 was very dark. I don't want to know what you're planning for it. I'm good. This is not what the world needs. It's not what I need. I don't need to be depressed and numb for a few days after playing your game.
I would like to think that they'd, like, you can't go darker, because that's just torture porn at that point. You know,
there's a lot of torture in this game. Like, what's so sad is, like, in the first game when she's talking to Sam says, "Oh, you were never scared of anything." It's like, "Oh, what gave you that idea?" And she's like, "Well, what are you scared of?" And she said, "Being by myself. I'm scared of ending up alone."
Long-term booking.
And I say, well, great. So, hooray, this woman that's been through the mill multiple times, yay, you lost everything.
Yeah.
Fuck. Like, it's not a story. Like, it's a well-written story, but it's not a story anyone wants to hear. Or, you feel worse after hearing it.
Not all things have happy endings, you know?
This is literally the worst ending you could have.
Yeah. Certain times, shitty things happen and you have to deal with what happens. But yeah,
Stephen King's The Mist has nothing on this.
Oh!
You can't stop this.
So, part 2, this is going to talk about the gameplay and other knickknacks and wing-wangs from...
Knickknacks and wing-wangs.
Oh, yeah. All right, so that was a thoroughly depressing trudge through the storyline with some positive moments in there. In general, like, happiness, it's all uphill from here. So gameplay, it's that same meaty, kind of very heavy, intentionally, mildly clunky gameplay, which gives it so much weight to melee weapons. Thoroughly satisfying, like, paired with the brutal kills, it perfectly complements this demoralizing, bleak view of the world. It was refined from the first game with some new moves, like going full prone and shooting while on your back, and also setting up baddies against each other.
Yeah.
Actually a really cool thing, because you can grab people as hostage, but if you grab a runner and then you can get the attention of a clicker and it will lunge at you, it'll actually just grab the runner and start eating it.
I didn't know that.
It's fucking awesome.
I didn't fucking know that. That's awesome. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I know that in the first game, people were kind of giving out that there were no sections where you took on humans and...
infected?
Yeah, except for there was one in the DLC, which is when you're in the shopping center. There was one room with both types of baddies and you're able to, like, throw a can or something like that and, you know, they would hunt each other down. But it was nice to see them take that and say, we're going to go all out with this in the second game. You can use it to your advantage, because if you don't, it's just going to blow up in your face.
There's too many baddies.
Too many fucking baddies, yeah. So yeah, I thought that was absolutely awesome.
The newly turned are called runners, and they're your big kind of standard zombies that you get most often. There's a dodge mechanic, which when they go lunge at you, leaves them open for a counter. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was very, very nice. The same dodge encounter is in the Resi 3 remake. It's really handy.
Necessary as well. The infected, oh man, I was just like, when you're coming across them, when you're playing as Abby, you're in a house and one of them is just kind of freshly dead on the ground. It's like, man, their faces are so sad. Like, they're humanoid, but they're kind of contorted and bloodied, no longer people, you know. So it's like beautifully haunting, I thought.
Yeah.
Man, disgusting, also pretty.
Oh shit.
So just in terms of gameplay overall, the game is mostly spent scouting the area, canvassing every nook and cranny, looking for collectibles, until some baddies arrive for a shootout. You get occasionally cool Uncharted action sequences, like in the car after meeting your ex.
Jesse.
Thank you, Stephen. And you get the flashback sequences as well. Do you have any kind of thoughts on the gameplay?
I absolutely loved it. I thought it was better than the first game in every single way. Okay, I have one negative. Some of the areas, you know, because it's PS4 and they have so much more power, that the landmass is quite big. And so when you're going around opening doors, looking for bits and bobs, that just takes way fucking longer because there's so much area.
And if you're the type of person that'll have to see through everything to make sure you haven't missed anything.
That's me, which is why my gameplay probably took like 38 hours or so. So that's literally my only negative point on how this game plays. Every other way, I thought it felt better. They had more options. Going prone, oh my god, thank you so fucking much. It really adds things, you know, where you can like dive into the long grass. The fact that you can now use guns as your first option and not be heard because you can craft silencers. That is a game changer. It really, really, truly is. It gives you so many more options. They've added in dogs, which actually force you to move because I'm like...
Because they can smell you.
Exactly. Like, I'm a very cautious gamer. And if I can, I will camp in one area. I don't care if it takes half an hour. I will wait until people walk past me. I'll take them out one by one.
This must be riveting on Twitch.
Yeah. Because I'm a very nervous gamer, you know. I hate the tension of having to run around and people chasing me. But this game makes you do it. And so even though it's making me do something that I don't love doing, I'm glad that it did because it made it more fun, you know? So yeah, I love how Ellie's and Abby's gameplay, notably different. I think the best way that I could sum it up is, even though they're both set in the same world, Ellie equals Batman, Abby equals Bane.
Oh.
Ellie has more tricks and gadgets, and she'll go around and take down one person at a time. Whereas if you're good with Abby and you upgrade her melee path, you can run in, fire a shotgun, people hear you, they will run at you, and you can turn around and you can punch them, you can lift them up in the air, you can break necks, you can turn around and put someone's head through the fucking wall. She's beastly.
She's a wrecking machine.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. So I love how the game gives you those options, you know? There's a few other things that I think are great. As much as I love the first game, the puzzles in it were shite. There's 2 puzzles. There's one, lift up the plank, move the plank, place the plank. And there's the second one, move the pallet, place the pallet, move Ellie on said pallet. And that's it for the entire first game. Whereas the second one, it has the...
There's a bit in the flashback with Joel where they're looking at a pallet and now she can swim, that's fine. And he's like, hey, how could you push me on this pallet? He's like, those days are long gone.
A lovely little nod.
Joel, look! Want to give me a ride?
Those days are long gone, kiddo.
It's really, really cool. Yeah, and so they've added in new types of puzzles. You know, there's like the ones with the cable where, you know, you like have to climb it and swing.
You have to take 10 minutes to actually get the rope together before throwing it.
Which is nice. There's like ones with like the power cable where you have to throw it over the fence and bring it into the Jenny and things like that. And then there's, you know, the ones where you have to find your way into the room that's locked. Whereas in the first game, you just made a shiv and that's how you got in. In the second game, they actually force you to like think a bit, you know? And of course, I mentioned it earlier that they upped the actual horror. And there were bits in this game that I thought were terrifying. Rat King, hospital section with Ellie, going across the like bridges with Abby that were brilliant as well.
Excellent.
What's going on between you and your friend Owen?
Oh my god, Lev, now?
Just as part of a storyline mechanic, the world is full of collectibles and they also have these artifacts where you can find. So you get these little mini stories from these lost souls, just fleshing out the world. Like one of them is, you pick up and you read it and it's like, oh, I have a cough. Oh, but the crew have all left to get meds. Oh, that's so lovely of them. And then later it's like, those fuckers have left me for dead. There's another one where son is asking Santa for a dog for Christmas so he can help protect the dad and him. And it's like, oh, that's so sad as well. What are you telling your kid about Santa in this world? My favorite one is, someone's on lookout for scars and it's like, oh, what have you written here? And it's just, he's drawn tits and dicks.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fucking awesome. It's hilarious.
Actually, I have a picture of it here. See, this is the kind of research I do for the show, Stephen.
Tits and dicks.
Yeah, there you go.
Brilliant.
Still
absolutely brilliant. What's the deal here with the titty balls with the titty dicks. Jesus, mate. Jay, what did you think of the cards that you picked up as Ellie? Did you like them? Did you read them?
I don't care.
No?
No, I like Dr. Uckman, and
Dr. Uckman?
that was about it. Yeah.
I thought they were awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, I thought they were really fun. I was actually kind of hoping, I was like, if this is Naughty Dog setting the seeds for what their next game is going to be, I'm totally down for some nasty superhero action. I like, basically, give me the video game version of The Boys.
Oh, wow.
And you will have my money. Honestly, Naughty Dog, you'll probably have my money anyway, because you haven't made a bad game in years, but you know. Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought the Abby version where she gets the coins, I thought that was lame.
Yeah.
Like, it made sense in terms of the plot because her dad used to collect coins and she wants to do it, but like, give me something better.
I did like Ellie, actually. She managed to find a Firefly pendant in The Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
And, you know, because that was a big collectible in the first one. Just gameplay wise, I did get crabby about the take out a group of hostiles in a dilapidated building gimmick, because that's usually most of the game. It was like less than halfway through. It was like day 2 of Ellie. I'm like, oh my god. Because it was like office building, TV station, hospital, all these, any big corridor buildings. But fair balls to them. Like, usually when that happens, they'll throw in something new. Like when Abby gets captured in the park, that's when she meets Lev and Yara for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, we just did a clear out an area of baddies segment. But surprise me with it. All right. What happens? You take out the scars in a cutscene. 2, melee only section with runners.
That was great.
3, runaway spot, which is much better than Silent Hill Shattered Memories, by the way. Way better. Number 4, armed soldiers shoot off the infected. Brilliant. Number 5, there's a backstory and a fun crossbow tutorial and saying, oh, look, you've got to get a crossbow. It's like, oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Then 6, horde mode, which is, that's a different thing again. 7, you get the crossbow in my favourite artifact bit of the game, which I'll go to in a sec. And yeah, number 8, you clear a ship of infected. I was like, so
the ship bit is really good.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, this is, I'm getting bored. I'm sick of the same thing. And here you go, here is 8 things that are different. And so, well done. Look, this sure is a bit of stocky Scar action, but hey, now we're out in the open. Oh, hey, look, there's some new long grass. How about that? And you get, here's a new baddie, a giant lady with a megaton hammer.
Yeah, that's fucking Bertha.
That's boss. That is fucking boss. So,
yeah.
Man, good stuff. Good stuff. Just want to shout out the ghost ship. This is when Abby is on her way to the aquarium to find Luke. She comes across a ship that is run to ground. She boards it. When she goes through it, she sees skeletons of humans they're in bed. So they are humans that are killed by a crossbow. And they haven't turned. They're regular human skeletons. And then you find, propping against the door, is a skeleton with a crossbow. This is the killer. Then you come across some infected. And then you reach the bow of the ship to find Captain AJ, who's also a skeleton, with an arrow through the heart. So the killer's got him too. And so there's an artifact there, and it tells you what happened.
Is this whole damn boat infested?
So this is the story of the ghost ship, Stephen. The ship left San Diego with 35 souls aboard. 2 got seasick, 1 disappeared, turned out to be infected. So passenger Roberts wrestled it overboard. Okay. She requests everyone needs to be examined and you need to hand out weapons. You know, you can't keep them in the cache. And both are denied, saying, oh, we can't scan. We don't have the equipment to scan people. And I'm not giving in to hostility and have everyone with guns, you know. But more people get sick. They make a quarantine section below decks. 3 hours later, the same day, all of them are executed.
Jesus.
Yeah. And Roberts, the passenger, has done it. So there's a confrontation with the captain. They both shoot each other and both are mortally wounded. So the captain dies at the bow of the ship and Roberts dies earlier when you get the crossbow. So the captain grounds the ship so that any survivors there can alight. And before he dies, he hears infected at the door and just thinks, was she right? was like, that's all in fucking artifacts.
That's
Just
really good
text art. So like, was she right to murder all of those people? Because the people that she killed, they hadn't turned yet. Because, well, the fungus wouldn't grow after you die. You know, you have to kind of live and you grow into this mutant,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
So the people that she killed were humans.
This is not the Walking Dead that, in the sense that
Yes.
the dead turn. It's the live that will turn, but it takes time.
Yeah. But there were infected on board before the captain died that he heard. So there were more infected on board. So she's kind of right about that. But I'm thinking a lot of the infected that you do end up meeting, they probably just heard all of the commotion and it was ran to ground, so they probably just came on board.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, a ship crashing into the land is going to make a lot of noise. That's hundreds of tons of metal scraping and screaming and ripping. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
That's a great story.
Yeah, and that's just, here's just a little bit we just put in there, just a little bit of the game. You could, you didn't have to read any of that stuff, but like, that's a great story.
I read everything that I found in this game. I think this world is fascinating. I think it's really cool, and I love being in it, even though it's not a nice place to actually be in.
So yeah, thumb is way up there.
Can I just say, there's one thing. Naughty Dog thought, they were like, I know this game needs a jump button. It fucking didn't. It didn't add one single thing except for awkward comedy bits where I kept pressing the jump button and it looks silly. I wish that they just kept to the like context jumps that the first game had.
Yeah. Weapons. You pick up more weapons as you progress through the game and upgrade at workbenches. I thought Abby, and specifically Ellie's gun handling is terrifying. Like, it's amazing, it's really good. It's well disciplined, finger off the trigger and stuff like that. Like, it speaks to Joel's training, trained her very well, but also you're so highly trained and disciplined. What kind of horror are you facing in this world? That this young girl is like, both no fucking about.
Yeah. Can I just say one other thing that really bugged me?
Go on.
So you play as Ellie for 20 hours, getting like pills to get new moves, and you're leveling up your guns, and you're getting scrap, and you're getting all this new things. And then 20 hours in, it changes, and you're Abby, and you have to do it all over again. Don't give me everything and take it away and make me build it up again. Like, if you're gonna do it like Metroid and do it at the beginning of a game. Have Samus powerful, take it away, and then build back up to what she can be. But don't make me spend 15, 20 hours and then 15 more hours. It would have been a better system if you went Ellie day 1, Abby day 1, Ellie day 2, Abby day 2, and then you're building up to them both meeting. I think from a narrative and a gameplay point of view, I think it may have made the game a bit better.
Music. Full of dread, like an ominous sound design is incredible. But it's not a fun score, more environmental moodscape.
Yeah.
Very like kind of Breath of the Wild in that respect. There's so little moments of happiness and calm, like it's more melancholic, so it's kind of memories of autumn, kind of solitary banjo plucking. So not really songs as such.
Yeah, I just have it here as like the first game has some tracks that 7 years later, I will still walk around and go bring, 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 bring. But I can't think of a single song from this.
I was like, I only remember that, and that's from the first game.
Yeah.
They do have a few actual songs in there. There's the Hootenanny Hoedown. And they have bopping to the baby music back on the farm.
Yeah.
Ellie from the trailer, she has the Sean James song, the Through the Valley, which is beautiful.
Pearl Jam.
Yeah. Wow, I was like, I'm hoping to impress you there, Steve.
If I ever were to lose you, I'd surely lose myself.
Joel's song that he sings to Ellie is Pearl Jam's Future Days.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of kind of soundscape, it's 10 on 10, but in terms of the score, it's instantly forgettable.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag, but the way it ramps up the tension during the combat, I thought that was incredible. Like, it made me feel more tense playing it. So that's a thumbs up. But,
It's like, all you see is, here's Abby. It's like, man, I want to get with you, Luke, and leave your wife. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to bang you from behind. And then you get to see that unnecessary sex scene. And it's like, blom, 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 blom. This melancholic twang of the banjo to Cena in the wig getting ploughed. Leave it out, mate. Big section, wonderful section, the graphics. As with The Last of Us 1 was the benchmark of beauty for the PS3 remaster is amazing. Looks like, man, it stands up against PS4, native PS4 games. The Last of Us 2, absolute showcase. One of the most gorgeous games on the planet.
like, I can't think of a better looking game.
Holy shit. Like, immediately they show you what's going on with Joel on horseback. And you can get the kayfabe of, like, the sun's in his eyes, so he holds it up.
Yeah.
Holds up his hand. And it's like, oh, wow, this is so gorgeous.
Like, there may be games with, like, you know, nicer looking trees or nicer leaves or that are more colourful. But when you factor in the character and the faces, this is the most jaw-breaking game I've ever seen.
Because you kind of thought that about The Last of Us 1, that it's so photorealistic and lifelike, and it's like janky beside The Last of Us 2.
Yeah. If I was ever to show someone who didn't play games to make them go, whoa, this is what gaming is, this would be the game that I'd show them.
Wow. I love the stadium, like when we get to play as Abby and we see her go off, and just it's really impressive. It's a huge wide open area, and they've rejiggered it to be a compound that they can live in, like an army barracks. That was really impressive. Also, the amount of people smoking meat there at the barbecue. Fucking looks great.
I'd choose that over Jackson any day. Yeah.
Amazing stuff. Just want to shout out, we were talking about the terrible backbreaking labor that all these artists and animators give to make this world alive. It's like, okay, there's thousands and thousands of like all these subtle nuances. I just want to highlight a few of them to tell you like how deep this game goes and why it's deserving of being a masterpiece. You know, okay, Ellie can swim now, so when she gets into water, but the water wets you up to the level which you wade.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like,
and then if you get out of the water and just put the camera on her, you can see it slowly dry. It like doesn't just go from wet texture to dry texture. It slowly dries.
It's really impressive. Also, Ellie wiping her brow or like breathing heavier after an intense encounter. It's a really cool touch.
Yeah.
And if it's raining outside and she goes out, she'll put on her hood.
Yeah.
And then when she gets inside, she'll take it off. It's like, oh, that is great. Also, Kayfabe, she's very fortunate never to get the flu or get a cold. Because, like, man, any kind of illness in this post-apocalypse, it must be a death sentence, you know? But she's swimming in, garbage water and she's grand, so,
like,
thumbs up.
Imagine if you're going through some building, you don't know if it's been cleared and you cough. Shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Exactly.
I'm dead.
Yeah.
Well, Ellie's not dead because she's a beast, but, I'd be dead.
You'd be coughing anyways. Okay, when you're in snow, you're trudging around, your footprints are left in the snow. And then if you leave it for long enough, they fill up again.
Wow.
Fuck. Like, even if you walk against a tree with snow, the snow falls off in separate bits.
Wow.
Kind of fucking hell. There's a horde mode and there's runners at you. If you kill them, their blood trickles out and it'll melt the snow.
Wow.
Oh man, and like if you stand in the blood and walk around, you leave bloody footprints. It's like, oh man, they fucking thought of everything.
They really did. Did you know that if you throw a Molotov cocktail into water, you can see the oil floating on top of the...
Oh my god, that's amazing. Kayfabe, so strong.
When you're playing as Ellie, if you're, say, walking under a pipe and there's like water pouring out of it, if you move her underneath the water, she'll go, just like the little things are staggering.
Abby has got vertigo, so if you actually go to a ledge, it's really cool because the camera will go back and up and kind of emphasizing the kind of drop and what she's feeling, and she'll be like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Which is great. Being able to crack safes without the code by just listening to the clicks. Like, I literally turn up my speakers and you go click, 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 look. Oh, shit.
Wow.
You can actually do it by listening.
I didn't actually know.
Oh my god, amazing.
actually worked.
Weird. They try to humanize the enemies, the humans, that sometimes they'll call out the name of their friend after they've been shot. Oh, John, you've been shot, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It's making you to feel like a piece of shit
Yeah.
for doing it because they're a human. All really gravy stuff. Of course, there's a ton of Easter eggs as well. Ooh, let's go through a couple of Easter eggs here. The PS3 and controllers, the kayfabe with that is amazing.
And smash Brandy's cooch.
Yeah. I love that there's a PSP in the game. There's a girl that plays it, and she's playing Hotline Miami.
Yes.
And you can actually hear the song playing in it as well, just to confirm. It's awesome. At the start of the game in Jackson, you come across a dude playing the banjo, and that's the score's composer, Gustavo Santaolalla.
Amazing.
Get in. And there's a dog there, and you can pet it as well.
Can you pet the dog?
Yes, you can. And as Abby, you can play fetch.
Yes.
Yeah. Ellie's room at the start is packed with Easter eggs as well, like Sam's robot from The Last of Us 1. Like she didn't get to bring it to her grave, she kept it with her, and this is what she's done with it. Same with Joel's got photos as well, like photos with her and his daughter. You can spot a plushy giraffe. They actually hot dog this kind of the nature and the animals a few too many times in it. Like just a bit with a flashback with Abby, and she has to release
like a deer or something.
Yeah, something like that. One of those. Thought it was cool. There's like a Halloween section with the Frankenstein statue, and that's very similar to
It's the same one.
Yeah.
It's the very same one, yes.
It's one used in Left Behind, and there's like witches, and here's a row of masks. And of course, this is terrible for a flashback for Ellie because it's the day her friend died.
Yes.
And she just goes, I'm not a fan.
Yeah. And there's also the bit where she's in the arcade and she sees the game The Turning, which is the same game that she played with Riley. Riley kind of tells her what's happening. She's like, do a fireball, do the blah, blah, blah. So that was awesome. In the same arcade, one of the side of them is a Jax game from Jak and Daxter. So yeah, there's so many little bits and bobs and it's really awesome.
One of the cool things is that you go into a supermarket and have a look at the employee of the month, and then one of them is a dog.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Of course, there's a ton more, but anyway, I just wanted to give you a kind of glimpse of all the cool shit that they
Some of the work and the love that goes into it, even though it might be love that's made by cracking the whip, these are not things that fans of the games don't see. So even if they spend crazy hours doing it, they need to know that fans love it, and thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Are you a butt face? I am dead certain it is true. Well, that settles it then.
Anyway, a couple of kayfabe thoughts to finish off. I thought the Earth in general doing pretty well. Like the carbon emissions way down, and that kind of thing. Retaking back the land. So, Earth is... we're not doing great. Earth is. So Lev's sister, Yara, is bitten and has her arm cut off to save her. It's very video game to have someone be up and ready for a mission a few afters after getting amputated.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Like she's ready to rock and roll. 2 Tylenol, walk it off, Fucking hell. That WLF, they're doing really well because they encouraging gym use means that they have their shit together so well that we got excess calorie. You can, burn off whatever. We want you to go to the gym and get buff instead. And so, yeah, you're doing really well. So good stuff, guys. Also, by the end, it's cool. You get into Wolf versus Scar shootouts and try to sneak your way and kill both of them or go past them. That's pretty cool. The Rattlers, very impromptu new heel faction at the end because the Fireflies and the Seraphites, they're all gone. Or it's not a part of the story. I thought it was very slapdash, but you kind of need an antagonist to forward the thought.
I mean, you would imagine that in different cities and different parts of the country and different parts of the world, there's going to be different factions that rise up and take over.
Yeah, Jesus and eights. Oh my
that actually
god.
sounded a bit like Supermarket Sweep.
I thought it was very much like the Nazis at the end of Breaking Bad. They give them a run just to have an antagonist there,
Yeah.
When we go to the guitar shop with Joel in a flashback and it ends in a bloater fight, it's really sad. We didn't find any guitar strings. I was like, that's why we went.
Yeah.
If we found it and then had the fight, I'd be happier with it, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. Just two Joel things to end off. It is nice to see Joel enjoying coffee in The Last of Us 2, because he's always banging on about it in the first game. And even Ellie, like when they go into a coffee shop, he started talking about Joel and stuff like that. So anyway, that was nice. He got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I wonder what he had to trade to get it.
Oh.
Wasn't Joel all about coffee?
Kidding me? He'd trade half his stuff for a bag of beans.
I really miss coffee.
Very cool. I have to mention it, but this game, the accessibility is incredible.
Yes.
Holy shit. It's the most I've ever seen for a game. Like Gears of War 5 got really lauded for all of its stuff, but like, holy shit, Last of Us 2 is inclusive. Really helpful stuff, like hold the button instead of button mashing. It's like, oh my god, thank you so much. To game-breaking Batman Arkham scan the area for goodies, which is great, which has also kind of helped the disabled or people with difficulty to it, or just trying to get through the game quicker. I thought it was great.
Color blind modes and different hues. And yeah, it's something that you don't see very often in gaming, because you just don't think of that, and you need other people who have these problems to like say, hey guys, what about us, you know? And to see them being made, fucking awesome. Thumbs up.
Because I'm sure they're just trying to get the game out with no game-breaking bugs and brick your console, you know?
And the more things you put into a game, the more chances that you're going to have issues.
Grounded DLC that came out in August of 2020 is a free update. It brought more difficulty modes and a wealth of filters. You earn coins in-game and you can spend them on unlocking items. Like you can kind of look at super high quality game models, which is really cool. So if you want to see the Rat King, have a good pike at it. And game filters alters the graphics. Like there's a watercolor one, like the Wind Waker.
Oh wow, I haven't seen any of these.
Oh, there's an 8-bit pixel one where you actually just can't see anything. It's just a load of pixels. Void, which is really cool. That's like a half matrix wire mesh.
Okay.
Like they only build the world up to this draw distance, and the rest of it is green on black wireframe. It's awesome looking. And there's a crazy pop filter, which is like white and pink and yellow, which are very cool. Not enough to make me replay the game. Like I will record footage of it, and that's because I was just thinking about playing the game. I was like, I don't want to really live through it again. I my fill of disturbing terribleness. I'm good. Yeah, overall, any last words? Anything else we've left out? What have we got for us?
I think we've covered pretty much everything. I think we talked about this game for a lot longer than we thought we were going to talk about.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 hours at this point.
Game 4, yeah. It's a fucking dense game. There's a lot of things in it. I don't think you can do a game like this justice in a 6-minute review. Like, you just can't, you know? So I'm very glad that we got a chance to talk about it. Yeah, I thought it was great.
I was like, listen, it's always high quality, well written, well acted, interesting, super high production value, but it does get repetitive in that it's not a tight, streamlined experience that The Last of Us 1 is, but rather we know you're enjoying the world, so here's kind of as much of it as you can do, as much of it as we can give you. So instead of an excellent 20-hour game, we got a very good 30-hour game. So, but like, it's an incredible game and it's very well made, but I thought it's too dark and depressing, it's too bleak for me.
Yeah.
So the moral of The Last of Us 2 is what Leela said from Futurama when they were shooting space penguins. It's like, don't leave orphans, gotta kill entire families. There we go.
Lovely.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this super deep, dark, girthy dive into The Last of Us 2, and let us know your comments of it below. So that'll do it for this episode of OSW Playlist The Last of Us 2 with V1zer.
Take a fucking boo.
Myself, Jay Hunter, and remember, a winner is you. It doesn't feel, huh? Oh, right, just here we go. This muscly woman gets banged. Plong, 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 plong. A winner is you.